Welcome to the Italianpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Pietro Ferracini, a startup founder with a passion for practical knowledge. Join me in weekly conversations with young and experienced entrepreneurs where we learn from their mistakes. Please welcome Amine Khalladi. He's an architect and a blockchain entrepreneur. He currently runs a Bitcoin mining business named Hashing Farms, based out of Tallinn, Estonia, and co-host of a podcast show called The Blocked Show. I'm very excited to announce a new short series about cryptocurrencies and blockchain together with Amin. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes where we'll discuss and explain to you the basic concept to understand what's going on with the cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. In this first episode, we will get to know Amin and his entrepreneurial mistakes in the booming Bitcoin rush. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes. So, Amin, where does this podcast find you?
I am currently in Tehran, Iran.
Fantastic. And you know, I usually start my podcast by asking a little personal question to my guest. So, what kind of student were you back in high school? Were you the student that doesn't have to pass, the one that struggled constantly to go forward, or the average kid?
Well, I had, I was in high school in Italy doing Liceo Scientifico. And yeah, I was kind of the kid that never really wanted to be there. So I'm pretty sure since you're Italian, you're familiar with the concept of debito,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I was the kind of guy that would spend every summer with 3 to 4 debiti. And those usually were like, let's say Italian, Latin, and something like that. Let's say English as well, surprisingly. But yeah, generally speaking, I was the kind of guy who didn't want to be there. I was the only thing I was good at was technical drawings, math, and physics. And for all
Okay.
the rest, I really carried no interest whatsoever.
I see. And for those who don't know what a debito is simply having a failing some sort of subject and then having to carry it forward and then do a catch-up exam, something like that.
Yeah, in the summer.
In the summer, exactly, which is not fun at all.
Mm,
I did that mistake the first year of high school, and then I didn't repeat it again because I was like, nah, that's not happening. And so overall, you were only interested in those scientific subjects, and it seems like that they shaped a little bit your life further on. And
yeah,
yeah, tell me about it. Tell me a little bit about.
uh, it really, I don't know. I was good at it. So, when you are in high school, you're kind of influenced to choose the path. So for me, it was always like some kind of pressure to go forward with engineering or architecture, which at the end I did both. But again, after Italy, I moved to Morocco. I studied engineering in Italy in Polytechnic of Turin, and then I wasn't really enjoying it. I decided to go to architecture. At the same time, from family reasons, I had to move to Morocco. And from Morocco, I just did 1 year, and then I moved to Spain. And I finished my career of architecture in Spain. However, uh, somewhere in the middle of that career, I found out about Bitcoin, and the whole thing changed. Really, I don't know, like my whole vision about economics and the way we live life and we spend our money or we invest or whatever thing related to economy has totally changed.
Uh-huh.
I consider myself very lucky, not only for the fact to have had the opportunity to invest relatively early in crypto, but as well for the opportunity that Bitcoin has offered me to kind of educate myself financially, which is an education that nobody has ever presented to me, neither school nor family nor nobody. So I'm pretty lucky on that side.
Yeah, I mean, I can only agree with you. I personally am not that deep into cryptocurrency as you are, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later down the episode. But I believe that understanding this system, which is the blockchain, that is underlying structure of every most cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, It's very important, and it opens your eyes in a lot of ways. It's one of those technologies that it will revolutionize our future. I'm pretty sure about that.
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, very briefly, can you tell me a little bit what you do for a living, but without naming your job title? I just want to know the things that you do.
Sure. I would say I am mainly a miner. So that
What's a
is
minor?
a miner is someone who mines cryptocurrency. So basically, yeah, the mining business is, to put it in simple words, is exchanging electricity for cryptocurrency. So basically, we run mining machines, which are application-specific integrated circuits that are doing one operation over and over and over again, which is hashing. That is basically used to verify transactions on the blockchain, put these transactions together in a block, and earn rewards. So a Bitcoin reward that is currently 6.25 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. So that is mining. As well, I trade. We trade altcoins mainly. We trade Bitcoin from the mining revenue we have. We jump into opportunities, which is linked a little bit to what I'm doing on the Block Show with my co-host Amir. So we have kind of a research team that looks into low cap cryptocurrencies, and we try to study the team, study the VCs that are investing in this cryptocurrency, and we try to jump in early, creating a very diverse portfolio of cryptocurrencies.
Okay.
And last thing I would say, I'm like an advisor. So I do advisory work with different mining farms or mining projects, brokering, for example, mining machines from a supplier to a buyer and things like that. Basically everything related to blockchain and crypto.
Yeah, you do a job of like 360 degrees connected to cryptocurrencies, blockchain. It's incredible. It's incredible. So to sum it up, you own a factory that mines Bitcoin, and by mining we mean using, as you explained very well, computer software and hardware to validate the blocks in the blockchain, and then make sure that every transaction is transparent. And by you use a lot of electricity in the process, and on the other side you get rewarded with Bitcoins in this transaction. And then
Exactly.
this knowledge that got you there, you're now using in different other ways to get different revenue streams. You said you're consulting, and then you're also using the Bitcoin that has been generated from this farm to then invest and find new opportunities that are keeping you inside the loop. And at the same time, you're co-hosting a Bitcoin podcast, which is very fun, and I recommend you guys to check it out. And moving
Yeah.
on, tell me a little bit about investing in crypto, and what does it mean?
Well, basically, like cryptocurrencies is a very large market. Like yesterday, we hit the $2 trillion market cap for all cryptos combined. It is like an up and coming technology, even though it's already like more than 10 years old. Most of cryptocurrencies, such as Bitcoin, are deflationary by nature. So every 4 years, as you know, the block reward gets divided in half. So just before May 2020, every block produced 12.5 Bitcoins. Right now, every block produces 6.25 Bitcoins. Somewhere in the next 3 years, that will be divided by 2. And it goes on and on. It's every 210,000 blocks. So more or less every 4 years, if you count that every block is produced every 10 minutes.
Can you compare this with, I don't know, the dollar? Why is Bitcoin deflationary and the dollar is a bit different?
That's a very good question, actually. Well, the dollar is controlled by governments, by Federal Reserve, and the power of these entities to print the dollar literally out of thin air is infinite. So the more dollars coming into the system, basically they don't do any good for anybody, because the dollar you owned yesterday before printing new dollars is going to be worth less. And that's why we have like a target 2% inflation every year. And that is pretty funny. Again, going back to the first question you asked me, where I say I'm really lucky about this, because I didn't know that dollar can be printed. I thought there was like a balance in this world, but there is none. Yeah,
It
it's
is
pretty
crazy.
crazy to think about. So to go back to the question, investing in crypto is basically putting money into assets that are, that are going to grow in value. Of course, not all of them, and that's why we have different investment strategies. Like right now, we see many institutions investing in Bitcoin. Why Bitcoin, you would say? Bitcoin is not even satisfying its main purpose, which is a peer-to-peer cash system. However, Bitcoin has failed to scale and does not function as a cash system, and now is rewarded, let's say, the title of being a digital gold, a store of value. So that's why we see big institutions getting really heavy on Bitcoin. We can mention MicroStrategy or Square or Elon Musk with Tesla.
Yes.
And many other institutions coming in. So for us, basically, yeah, sorry, Tommy.
No, sorry, keep going.
For us, basically, we would like to not only like have Bitcoin, which is, let's say, the safest and most famous cryptocurrency, but we would like to jump on opportunities of 20x or 30x or 50x returns by really getting early on certain projects. If we manage to spend $10 on 200 cryptocurrencies and 5% of those can give us like 1,000% return, then that is good enough for us. And we kind of trying to shift away from the main cryptocurrencies from the top 50 or top 100 to look into smaller cap projects that can give us higher return.
Yeah, I see. And going back to what we said before about inflation, I think one very interesting aspect about crypto, especially in this world of inflation, that we cannot really understand how much there is at the moment. It's a bit cloudy. So a lot of investors are now moving to cryptocurrencies, especially to Bitcoin, to avoid getting their money losing value. And I think that's a very interesting point there.
It is. I mean, there are many things you can do to avoid inflation. Typically you would maybe dedicate, 30% of your portfolio in the stock market. And if you get an 8% return per year on that investment in the stock market, then you somehow cover up that 2% loss you're making on your dollars. Because again, you have $1 million this year, it is not $1 million next year. I mean, it is still $1 million, but it's not. You can't buy exactly the same things with that $1 million, and it keeps reducing year after year. So yeah, cryptocurrency offers that kind of safe haven. It's really, I think, a great definition for it, as per the moment, as a digital gold. We see even a lot of money coming out from the gold market and getting into Bitcoin markets.
Oh, really? Didn't know about that. Very fascinating. Very fascinating. And I would like to ask you to pitch your startup, Hashing Farm, your company, just like you would in front of an investor right now to me.
Okay, great, cool. We have two types of investors we're dealing with. We have the investor that is already a miner. And honestly, we don't need to say much more than our cost of electricity is 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour. And that is good enough. On the other hand, to a more traditional investor, we would say that Hashing Farms is like vertically integrated. So we are basically, our land is within a power plant. So we are very close to the generation. Again, our cost of production is 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour. And our infrastructure costs are around $100,000 for every megawatt of power that we have. In the worst case scenario, during the business of Hashing Farms, in the bear market of 2018, we're able to give out a return on investment of 132%.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay, that's gonna shock a lot of
again,
investors.
really to really try to pump people up. We try to take advantage of all of this interest in Bitcoin, and we always try to show the relationship between buying Bitcoin and mining Bitcoin. And usually in the long run, mining Bitcoin is a lot more profitable.
Yeah, I see that. Look, but doing your career inside cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, I'm sure you made a lot of mistakes. So now I wonder, what is the single biggest fuck up in your adventure?
The single biggest fuck up I've done was leverage trading during the crash of last year in March.
What is leverage trading for
yeah,
the ones that don't know?
basically leverage trading is that you trade with money that is yours, but most of the money is not yours. So basically, let's say you have $1,000, but you want to put a trade in worth $10,000. So that's called a 10x leverage. Leverage comes with a lot of rewards, but at the same time comes with a lot of risks, because it comes with, you get liquidated basically. So if you're putting $1,000 and you're borrowing 9,000 to make a 10,000 order, if the price of the asset you are, let's say, betting on falls by only 10%, your risk of getting, you're going to get liquidated, because the worth of the money you put in does not cover what you borrowed anymore. So that, yeah, that happened to me. That was, I guess, the biggest fuck up I've ever done. And I went into a long trade with Bitcoin in March 2020. And after a couple of days, the big crash happened and I got liquidated and I lost a lot of money.
And what did you learn from it?
Okay, I learned that I need to adjust my leverage, definitely. Be careful, and for sure, be on top of your trades as much as you can. You know, like automating basically your positions is something you can do. So you can decide to add more leverage when you see that the price is not going your way, or you can decide to put like stop losses when you're trading. You decide, okay, I'm going to lose a maximum of 5%. And I did not use any of that at that time. And yeah, that happened.
All right. Well, automation is useful nowadays, especially in trading, which, you know, it's a pity not to use it. And I mean, you tested with your own hands the danger of doing that.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't expect that crash, honestly. It was quite weird. 8,000 to 3,700. That's pretty big.
Yeah, very few people expected it, I assume. Well, I want to know, is there one mistake that you have made now in setting up your new company in Iran? And before getting to that, can you tell me a little bit, how was the process of building this new company and opening this new farm in Iran?
First of all, like one of the mistakes, another mistake I have done earlier is to go really fast into setting up everything for a company to be able to run. So like registering a company, getting licenses and all of that, which comes usually at it's a high expense kind of activity. So the way we approached this in Iran was completely different and completely the opposite. I started by simply traveling here and getting acquainted with the different blockchain miners around Iran and different suppliers of machines. And we decided to run a test. So we made a very small investment of $10,000 and we found a hosting partner and we put our machines in there and kept record of the production. So basically we used that as a test to be able to show future investors, you know, what is our return, how did it go, all of that. Another point for me that was really important is to choose good partners when you are not in your country. So as a foreign investor, you want to have like local partners that really can have the same vision as you have, and at the same time can help you get to the point you want to get without your presence. That was a really important task, and I'm really lucky to have great partners with me here in Iran. And I guess the last thing is really managing, you know, all the problems that come with doing business in Iran. So first of all, it's a different country. And it is a delicate country to do business in because of sanctions, because of political pressure, and all of those reasons. So we try to take care of all of those points in order to make sure that ourselves and our investors and our clients are not getting themselves into some, you know, forbidden activity or something like that. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, cool.
It's been like a 2-year journey, you know, all of this. So
yeah, man. It's a very interesting adventure. And is there something that you fucked up in that process so far that you're like, oh shit, I wish I knew that before?
Honestly, no, not in this particular venture. I mean, the only thing I would say I didn't expect is the time, the different time frames that every task we had to do took. Because unfortunately, many times you would expect a result in a 1 week, and then it takes 3 weeks. And if you don't account for that 2 weeks of lost time, it could cause some problems down the line, because if every week is transformed in 3 weeks, then maybe what you thought you would do in 6 months, you do in 1 year.
Yes.
And maybe that is one thing, like being in Iran, you maybe don't want to be so optimistic about times.
And why is that? Because I feel this is a bit of a cultural difference. It's about how people feel about time. Is that the case?
It could be that, honestly. I mean, I don't see much difference between that happening here or that happening in Spain. Kind of, they're both, they have this kind of relaxed approach. But at the same time, I think because the mining business in Iran is newly regulated, and so like licenses take time. Registering a company with the activity of mining takes time because it's new. So
Yeah.
only in 2019, Iran recognized mining as an industrial activity and started giving out licenses. So it's pretty recent, pretty new, and that comes with its difficulties.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But it's very interesting that Iran is now recognizing mining as, well, mining Bitcoins as a real business activity and is regulating. I think it's a very smart move. And I wonder
I think so.
why other countries are not moving in that direction that fast.
Well, actually, one country that is really good at this is Kazakhstan. So again, mining in Kazakhstan is recognized as an economic activity. The government is really, really pushing forward the activity. Actually, they have received hundreds of millions in investment thanks to the mining business. And again, I think Iran is an ideal location for mining, not only for Iran, but for miners in themselves. As you know, Iran is a really rich country in terms of resources, whether it's oil, gas, minerals. And I think this is a great opportunity for foreign investors to come to Iran, for Iran as well to kind of put themselves back on the map, for business, because after all the sanctions and after the United States pulled out of the Iran deal, the
Yeah.
nuclear deal, the economy has been a little bit crushed.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think it was a very smart move from Iran, and I'm hoping for better regulations to come on. I'm really optimistic about this place.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Like, let's hope Iran can really flourish again and start attracting new investments. Also, thanks to businesses like yours. So, to conclude this episode, I like to ask one question. What is the one piece of advice that you give to a young person with the dream of building their own company, or with the dream of building their own mining farm? It's up to you to decide which one of the two you want to give an advice on.
Okay, so first and foremost, I would say, based on my experience, do what you want to do and don't listen to anybody else that tells you the opposite. Because when you want to do something, even though you might know that you're wrong, you're gonna do it, and you're only gonna learn when the mistake hurts you personally, right? So that would be really the first thing I would say. Okay, make mistakes. And the second thing that to me was very important is don't worry about everything being perfect, right? I'm kind of a perfectionist, but when perfectionism slows you down, then forget about it. Just go, do the thing, and be hands-on, like literally hands-on.
Yeah, 80-20 rule as well, right?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
For the one that don't know, that if I'm correct, that the 20% of the effort gives you the 80% of the results. Therefore, you
Yeah,
shouldn't really go too crazy about the other percentage, because it's, stuff is going to happen when you put in the right amount of work at the right point.
definitely, man. It's like in the first mining business we started, which failed. I started with another partner. Um, we really went on and wanted to like create the perfect website, the perfect branding, the perfect everything, and we ended up spending a lot of money without really having a mining operation. So that was really a big lesson. And I don't have a perfect website right now, but I'm still doing a lot more business than I did back then.
Yeah, yeah. I see. This is a mistake I see myself into as well. When I opened my first startup, Vino Veritas Italia, where we're importing wine in the Netherlands, I spent a lot of time on our website, a lot of time, and it was draining the good time that I should have allocated to finding new customers into making this
Yeah,
website perfect and having it convert like crazy, but I was still failing to bring customers on the website on the first part. So it was just ludicrous. It just didn't make any sense, but we're learning from it, so that's the good.
definitely, man. Yeah, yeah. Focus on the operation and forget about the aesthetics, you know.
Exactly. So I mean, tell me why the audience should listen to our conversation. What do you think is something that they should take home?
Well, generally speaking, as a targeted, kind of guest on your podcast, I think it's really important that everybody knows about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. It's really like baffles me that a lot of people don't know about this asset class that is really historic. Even as an investment vehicle, nothing in the world have seen returns such as cryptocurrencies. And on the broader side, I really encourage everybody to listen to your podcast because I think it's really, really interesting. It's about young entrepreneurs wanting to get out there, wanting to do business. The people you are interviewing are really, really interesting. I listened to the previous episodes of yours. Yeah, man, just to take out of it. I think really cool thing as well that you ask is the mistakes. And yeah, this is a way for you to like learn from like-minded people or people are doing or following the same person as yours and share with you their experience and their mistakes. I think
Yeah.
it's great.
Well, thank you for all the compliments. I mean, I really appreciate it. And you are one of those people that my audience should listen to and get inspired from. And I don't know, from some of you that don't know yet, we have a Slack channel, a link in the description, where you can actually come and talk with people like Amin about investing and get to meet all of the other guests that have been on the podcast. And it's a great opportunity to build a community, to learn from each other, and create new contacts. So I urge you guys to check that out. And I mean, I don't know what to say. Thank you very much for this little interview. And I'm looking forward to discuss cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and it's all their application in the future episode that we're going to build. So very excited to do that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. Really, thank you for the opportunity. And as Pietro said, follow the Slack. It's a really, really interesting place there to discuss.
Let's go. Let's go. I can't wait to get going with the new episodes. Looking forward to talk to you soon. Ciao, Amin.
Thank you. Ciao. Ciao, ciao.
For the YouTube people, make sure to give a big thumbs up and turn on that notification bell. Subscribe to the channel and follow the Italianpreneur on social media and join our amazing startup community on Slack, where you get the chance to meet the podcast guests as well as entrepreneurs from all over the world. This show is made possible by Patreon supporters. If you want to become one, follow the link. If you found this interview inspirational, I would appreciate a share. Stay tuned. I'll see you next week.